Every hostage is brainwashed by the resistance. That's what an Israeli lawmaker just came out and said, because nearly every Israeli hostage released from Gaza has come out and criticized the Israeli government. They've criticized the IDF for what they are doing because they know that Israel does not care about them at all. They say and explain how they were treated brutally at first during their capture on October 7th, but then were treated nicely by the resistance fighters. They were fed until Israel, who put Gaza under total siege, starved out everyone, including their own hostages. They talk about how the IDF airstruck where they were staying at, and it had to be resistance fighters who saved them, and they were eventually released. Hostages won't meet with Netanyahu, who desperately wants to use them for his propaganda narrative, and he's so mad about that. Just think this through for a second. The resistance captured a bunch of hostages. Why? For leverage. They assumed Israel would care about their own citizens being held hostage, like they've done in the past. And the resistance thought they could negotiate with Israel, as they sort of did during the past 2 years, exchanging some hostages for some of the thousands of Palestinian hostages that Israel has been holding. They're literally hostages, have no charges. They're arbitrarily detained. But this was honestly a huge error on their part. They overestimated how much Israel would actually care about them. They definitely didn't expect Israel to bomb and kill their own hostages. Israel even shot a bunch of their own hostages in Gaza who were holding up white flags. In fact, I think it was the day after October 7th, Palestinian resistance offered Israel all the hostages back in exchange for a permanent ceasefire, which Israel denied. And the resistance continued to offer that over and over and over again for the last 19 months now. During the temporary ceasefire early this year, the Palestinian resistance had agreed to a framework with the state of Israel that literally led to the release of all hostages. But Israel said, you know, we're done with the ceasefire because we don't really care about the hostages, we care about the land. And also, Netanyahu had political pressure. He lost his coalition power, his power in government, because a bunch of members of his coalition left the government when he agreed to a ceasefire. I've talked about this, but in short, they demanded Netanyahu starve Gaza out, which he did, and then continue bombing them. And they couldn't get the hostages, which I think would have been given in just 2 weeks more. Genuinely, most of the hostages hate the Israeli government for using their stories, their narratives, the idea of them as a political pawn for them to do what they've done. Honestly, it makes zero sense if we actually think about it, why resistance fighters would take hostages and then treat them brutally and horribly. It makes no sense at all. That's just a loss for them. It gives Zionists a huge win because now they can say, look, they raped and they tortured and they did all this stuff to our people after they captured them. Really, they didn't. I do want to mention that the UN confirmed one report of sexual assault on an Israeli hostage. I fully condemn this horrific act. I feel the same way about this victim as I do for the countless Palestinians who have been raped on camera by IDF soldiers in their arbitrary detention centers located in Israel. If we remember at the Sidi Taman camp, one of the most infamous torture camps Israel has set up since October 7th, holding, I think, thousands of arbitrarily detained Palestinians, like I said, who have been taken out of Gaza and the West Bank, who basically got away with their crimes. There were like 9 soldiers on security footage, which was released publicly, you can look this up, taking part in this act, which we know a lot more goes on, but when they were arrested, they were released, and only months later did Israel sentence one of the men who was part of this to 7 months. 7 months. 7 months. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. You can follow my page for more. There's also a fundraiser in my bio where we're trying to provide meals to Gaza through an organization we've partnered with on the ground. We've already raised over $180,000. Please consider going there and contributing your part, or sharing if you cannot, or even regardless, share it, as well as sharing this video. Thank you, and free Palestine.